the changes between 2009 and 2011, there was about $34 million was added to the project for about $118 million construction cost. And so again, just briefly, as we move then forward in time now from 2011 to 2013, there were additional costs. The detention basin became a requirement. We had to do underground utilities and additional housing and interim paving that had a cost of $1.5 million. We had again change codes. During the time frame, the Green Code and California Title 24 requirements had changed that had a cost estimate impact. Photovoltaic panels. The district is constantly looking at upgrading district standards and improving instructional technology in the classrooms. Those have impacts of costs. So between June of 2011 and 2013, the price went from about $118 million to, there we go, about $134 million. Now, this was all represented, all of these numbers and all of this process was represented to the facility subcommittee and to the board. As a matter of fact, this particular slide and these dollars were presented to a special board meeting on June 19th of 2013 and reviewed by this board. So just in a brief timeline, that in 2009, the district established this construction budget at $84 million without having a complete understanding of the project. And that happens, that's okay, and to the district's credit, the process has allowed the school to be what it needs to be to represent what the community needs. The facility subcommittee on December 13th understood the budget. We went through a value engineering process where we presented options for changing the scope, and the facility subcommittee said, no, we're going to keep the scope the way the community wants it. On January 19th, 2012, so almost 2.5 years ago, we submitted additional service to be compensated for the increase in scope. The way our contract reads is that as scope changes, that we are compensated for that increased work. And what we did at that time, rather than increase our total contract amount, we did a swap out. We said we'll keep our contract amount the same, but what we'll do is we'll remove services towards the back end of the project, and that was done at direction of the previous associate superintendent. So what we took out was the construction administration of the main campus, which is the construction of the main campus, our participation in that, and the other two regular phases. So on September 19th, the board approved at a 5-0 vote to increase the construction budget to $118 million. At that time, and part of that preseason approval was the calculation that also increased our fee by $2.85 million. So that's already been through this approval process. On June 19, 2013, we had a special board meeting that revised the estimate to $134 million, again, over 1.5 years ago. On February 11th, the facility subcommittee approved the Funnel Valley High School construction cost estimate of that $134 million, and then shortly thereafter, we submitted ad service number 5 for the fee adjustments due to the scope increase, extended project schedule, and for full-time services. So this is a process that has been ongoing. So what does that look like? Oops, I already hit the button, so I'm going to go back down. Here we go. So our original fee was based on about $85 million. It's about a 10% fee. Each phase has an individual calculation, which was included in all the backup, yielding a fee of about $8.5 million. When we went up to $118 million construction, that $2.8 million fee as a part of the scope increase was part of the process that the board went through when they changed the fee structure. Now when we're at $134 million, this is going through the simple calculation, you end up with an addition there of about 1.449. So there's a total of about a $4.3 million increase. Now the interesting thing is that our original fees were about 10%, which is within industry standard. As projects get bigger, percentages of fees typically come down, and that's exactly what's happened here. Our fee went from 10% to 9.6%. Well, that doesn't sound like a big percentage drop, but it is a large amount in dollars. But this is a huge project. Large projects have large numbers all the way around. So at this point, of this portion of the ad service, our fees actually went down. So there's a couple other factors that come in. One of them is the project phasing. This is what your school used to look like. We then did the temporary housing, which is out there, and then we're in the process of now starting the demolition of the campus, and then ultimately the new construction, and finally we're going to end up with the beautiful brand new school. Okay, well, why is this important? All these phases. When we started talking about this project again back in 2010, we anticipated 5 phases, and we were to start in roughly starting in 2011 and finishing interim housing placement in 2013, and finishing the final project in about 2016. All right, so just about a year and a half from now. Well, as more understanding of the project occurred and the project got larger, additional phases occurred that weren't anticipated, including the hillside stabilization work. So in 2012, the project went from approximately 5.5 years, which is pretty standard for a project like what we originally anticipated, to nearly 7 years. So we added a year and a half to almost 2 years to our project schedule. Now we look at our current schedule in 2013, and as you know, we're in the interim housing right now. We're going to be starting construction in the spring on the main campus. It's anticipated to be completed in a 3-year schedule in 2018, and then we'll finish the final phase, which is the field bleachers and athletic fields, in 2020. So we went from an anticipated 5.5 rough year schedule to almost a 10-year schedule. Well, that has a significant impact on the project. Again, this is what our beautiful project is going to look like. This is what we're working together to achieve. So, in summary, in 2010 we signed a contract. We anticipated 5.5 years duration. In 2000